coaching session. My name is Ashutosh, and I come back again with another interesting topic. And this time I'm going to talk about built-in quality practices. How do we bring about or bake quality into our journey? So that will be my topic, which I'll be talking about. I'm an enterprise agile coach, a trainer, and a consultant. And I come with around 20 plus years of experience. So once again, thanks wholeheartedly for joining this session and giving a lot of, I would say, feedback for these sessions. I'm sure this is something which is going to help us all in our journey. So let me ask by starting with a question. What, according to you, is the definition of quality, or how would you define quality of a project? What is quality, or what, according to you, is the meaning of this word quality? Anyone would like to start with that? You can type it in the chat window if that helps. Okay, let us see some interesting things coming up. Any product which meets standards. Okay, interesting. So I think then I will ask, what is standard then? What is the definition of standard? So any product which meets standard, is it only that a product which meets requirement or standard is a quality product? Interesting. Okay, so we'll definitely talk about what is the definition of this quality, what is the meaning of this word quality as we go along, right? Yeah, there are different definitions of quality which we will see. I mean, different quality gurus have given different definition of quality and performance of the product. I mean, so many definitions which are given. Now, let me show you an interesting story. Okay, before even we go into the technicalities of the definition, what is quality all about? What is the meaning of this term? So let me tell you something interesting. Now, this is an advertisement of Mercedes car in 60s. Okay, look at the importance they have given to quality, right? 50s and 60s ad. It's an old advertisement. The way it starts is, any way you look at it, is quality product. That is a statement which this organization is making. That is a message which it is giving to the outside world, that this is what is quality as per us, right? Or this is what, when we are delivering a product, we have taken into account the quality aspects or the quality elements of the product, right? It's not just about, it's not just about features, but we are guaranteeing quality, right? In a way, it's a statement. It's a very bold statement from one of the premium brands in the automobile sector, where they are guaranteeing quality, or where they are saying that we understand that, yes, you are looking in for a quality product at the end of the day. Okay, another interesting story before we move ahead. Now, this is a well-documented classified story. IBM ordered some components. Okay, so they ordered some components basically from Japan. And the requirement was, only 3 defects per 1,000 pieces should be defective. Now, these Japanese people were really puzzled. They worked on this order, and finally they dispatched this order. And you know what they said? They said that, we could not understand your requirement. What we had to do was, we had to manufacture 3 items separately as defective pieces, but do not use them in the main product. Because as per your requirement, you wanted 3 defects per 1,000. We did not have a process which could create defective processes. So we had to separately do a process, and we had to create 3 defective pieces in order to fulfill this order and ship it to you. Now, that is what we call it as quality, right? That is what is a quality culture. That is what we call it as a built-in quality or a baked-in quality into our product. It is an ingrained process. It is a process which is there. It is a process which is established. And quality is a way of life. Rather than doing separately for quality, doing something separately as a part of quality, this is something which is ingrained into our DNA. It is ingrained into the culture of the organization. So that's the level of precision. That's the level of, I would say, accuracy, what a company should strive for. Another interesting video, and I'm recommending all of you to watch this. It's available on YouTube. Just watch a video on how Amul butter is made. It's an Indian brand, Amul, the taste of India, as they call it. It's a dairy organization, a dairy company which manufactures cheese, butter, and a lot of other dairy products like paneer, cottage cheese, etc. So do watch this video, how quality is right from the time the milk reaches the factory till the time the final product ships out of the factory. So they are not going to buy that excuse that, you know what, from our factory, when the butter went out, it was in a solid state. Because the truck had a problem with refrigeration, the butter melted. No, they are not going to buy this argument. They're going to say it's a failure. The entire value stream we talk about, right? Value stream mapping. Their entire value stream is from the point in time the milk is collected till the point in time the milk product reaches the consumer, and consumer gets that aha moment, or consumer is happy with this. That is what they call it as a quality. So shift left is not just about shifting testing to the left hand side. It is a culture, it is a DNA. Right from the point your requirements are getting captured in your product, are you testing those requirements? And by testing, I don't mean literally testing those requirements. It is about validating those requirements. Are we asking those right questions to the people who are giving requirements, or are we blindly doing a job of a secretary and blindly copying the requirements, and then later on realizing that we should have asked this question much more earlier? That is what in real essence is a shift left strategy, which Amul, a company like Amul, has well established in its DNA, right? Another interesting example, watch this video. It's on Discovery Channel, if I'm not mistaken. It's on how Ferrero Rocher chocolates are made. I think everyone knows about those Ferrero Rocher crunchy chocolates, right? Everyone loves them, right? I mean, it was something which is a pride. Like if I go abroad, I have to bring those for my family members. Now, believe me, the crunchiness is made sure it is exactly consistent in all the chocolate balls. You will not find any one ball which is having less of crunchiness and any other ball having a more of crunchiness. That's the built-in quality, what they have been able to maintain, right? I mean, it comes through automation. Definitely automation has got its part, but more than automation, it's the mindset, it's the culture, it's the ethos what you are bringing into an organization. So whenever we go in for a transformation as a coach, as a consultant, as a trainer, remember it's a mindset what is important. At the end of the day, we need to ensure that the right mindset is there when we are producing these, when you are inculcating these habits, like whether it is shift left strategy, whether it is continuous integration, continuous deployment. Believe me, if you want to know more about CI/CD, I think we all struggle to understand what is CI/CD pipeline, right? Continuous integration, continuous deployment. Watch Amul video. Watch the Amul video on how they continuously integrate, how they manufacture chocolate, right? How it is continuously integrated, continuously deployed in batches, and how those batches, it's a full automated process with hardly any human touch involved, right? From, again, I'm saying, right from the point the milk is collected till the point the product goes out, right? So that's the best example of a CI/CD deployment, continuous integration, continuous deployment, Ferrero Rocher or Amul chocolate. Yeah. So moving ahead, let us further try to understand the consequences of poor quality. And when I say cost of poor quality, it is not just the dollar value or the money which is lost. There is more to it. What we see on the surface is just probably a tip of an iceberg, that my deliveries are delayed, or there's a scrap or a wastage which has happened. There's an unnecessary process overhead which I have to work upon, right? I might get reprimanded. It could be a legal issue which I could be facing, or there might be some rework which will be happening. So those are some of the things which we see at the surface, or those are some of the elements what we usually see at the surface level of cost of poor quality. But what is important is at the bottom, the 80% is the hidden cost what is there. And one of the most important hidden cost which many organizations tend to forget is basically your reputational loss. Believe me, a faulty product goes into the market, the biggest hit you are going to get is on the bottom line of the company in a way of your reputational loss. One person having a bad experience is going to tell 10 other people, 10 other persons not to buy that product, right? Because it's a reputational risk, right? It's a reputational loss what you have incurred as a part of this, right? So that is the hidden cost, a poor quality or a service. We see that, right? We all know what happened very recently with one of the very famous airlines in India, right? I mean, people will now start thinking twice, right? How can such an incident happen in an airline, right, of such a big repute, right? So poor quality upsets customers, right? It leads to reputational loss. That is the biggest cost. That is the highest cost what a business can be subjected to, and it is not easy to wipe that cost off, right? That's the most expensive mistake. Many people think that, yeah, I have to pay my developer 2 days to rectify a bug. No, it's not about that. It's about to think about the reputational loss what you have earned. They might decide to give a contract to a different organization altogether, saying that your quality processes are not strong at all, right? There are inherent lack of controls or lack of assurances in the entire quality management process. So they might decide to give it to a different vendor, to a different organization as such. So that is the bottom piece of the iceberg, what is there, that bigger frozen piece, which is not really visible, which you really cannot see, or which you really cannot anticipate when you're working on product development. Yeah, so that's what we call it as the cost of poor quality, or COPQ is what we call it. All right. Moving ahead, many of us rely on testing, right? And we say that, you know what, the job of a tester is to identify defects, and then let the development team know, and the development team will rectify defect. Now, sorry to tell you folks, you're too late in the game. This is what one of my favorite quality guru, Mr. Deming, says. He says we cannot rely on mass inspection to improve quality. Though inspection is necessary, that is too late in the journey. Okay, it is too late in the journey. The defect has already crept in. It has already entered into the product, right? And there's nothing what you can do. And remember, there's that very famous curve. What is there? I'm sure each one of you would have seen that famous curve. And I'm going to draw it here. I mean, on x-axis, if you have the project duration or the timeline, and y-axis, you have the cost, which is there, cost of fixing defect. If you see this diagram, what is there, which I'm trying to draw on a whiteboard. So this is cost of fixing defect. This is on the y-axis. X-axis is the duration, what is there. What we invariably see is this pattern goes like this. The earlier you find a defect, the cheaper it is. The later you find a defect, it becomes more costlier to repair it, right? Imagine you buy a car and then there's a defect in it, right? There is going to be a huge cost involved for the company. Again, I'm repeating, it's not just about replacing your car, which is probably for 5 lakh rupees or something. It's the reputational loss which is going to impact the organization. That is a very severe loss which is going to impact them, right? So what Deming says is, don't rely on testing. It is too late in the business. We all know about the classic waterfall approach where testing is backloaded and we hardly get any time for doing testing. Why not shift left? I would say rather shift up the testing process, right? When my requirements are getting captured, I involve the testers and they do a critical analysis or deep dive analysis of the requirement. When I'm doing a design, I again validate it, right? Which is where the W model or the V model of software development is based on. But yes, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with this statement that don't wait when the chocolate is ready to realize that the milk was spoiled. There's no point. You have wasted money, you have wasted efforts, and you have incurred a reputational loss for your brand. Okay, so quality is something which is ingrained right from the start, right from the entry point till the point in time I exit out, right, from the process, right? That is a quality management process. That is what we call it as a quality activities in it, right? Same thing applies for a service industry, right? I enter into a hotel, everything looks nice. But moment I enter into my room, I find that my room is dirty. The linens are spoiled, the washrooms are not clean. Obviously, I'm going to raise a complaint, right? I'm going to be dissatisfied. So they might give me a suit. But at the end of the day, that there is a dark spot in my mind that, you know what, they could not even do such a basic thing about maintaining quality or making quality into the entire journey. So definitely inspection and testing is required, but that is not the only thing. You'll have to do something more. You have to do something more. It has to be an ingrained. Quality is something which is ingrained into the process. Another thing what we see is that we think that quality is only the responsibility of the QA team. No, It's everyone's responsibility in the project, whether you're a project manager, whether you're a delivery head, whether you're a program manager, you're a developer, you're a tester. Quality is everyone's responsibility. Okay, it's not that only the person who's at the testing team or who's a part of the QA team is responsible for quality. I'll give a very interesting example. It happened in Starbucks with me. I obviously had coffee. I picked up coffee from the counter and I went on my table. I was sitting and accidentally the coffee spilled over. The nearest person who was there near that table was the manager of that unit. He came in and cleaned the table. Now you might say, I mean, what was the need, right? He could have easily called someone else to clean the table. No, this manager came in and cleaned the table and said, I will replace the coffee for you. Okay, that is what, and he said probably the cup was leaking, and indeed the cup was leaking. And he said he apologized for it, and he immediately brought in a bigger coffee size for me. So what I'm trying to tell is it's everyone's responsibility. The store manager realized that what kind of a wrong impression I'm going to carry back if either this coffee is not replaced, and first and foremost, if the table is not cleaned, right? You might say that was it his dignity of job? Yes, I mean, every job has got a dignity, right? We have to respect that job. And this person really demonstrated that attitude that I'm the nearest to this table, let me come and clean it and give Mr. Ashutosh a good quality experience about our store. So that is what we call it as quality ingrained, and everyone's responsibility towards contributing to the quality of the organization. Now let us see what is a definition of quality. Now different gurus have given different definition of quality. Like you have Juran, Crosby, Deming. I'm not reading out those definitions for you, but broadly speaking, these definitions really bubble up to a standard definition which says degree to which a process, product, or a service satisfies a set of requirements or attributes. Okay, or degree to which a product, service, or a result conforms to requirement or is fit for use. That is generally regarded as a standard definition of quality, right? As you can see in this picture, right? Maybe I find that the apple on the right hand side is maybe a little rotten one vis-a-vis the apple on the left hand side, right? And I'm going to pick and choose only a quality product. At the end of the day, obviously, no one is going to pay money or no one is going to buy a poor quality product, right? Quality is something which will be ingrained. So quality is something which will be, I mean, everyone's would be going in for a quality product. No one will like to go for a poor quality product is what we all know, right? So that's what we call it as a quality management. I mean, that is what are the core principles from a quality management perspective, or built-in quality. All right. And by the way, these are not the only three authors on quality. Okay. There are a lot of authors on quality which are there, right? And who have their own definitions of quality. But as I said, ultimately, it is going to roll up to this degree to which a product, service, or a result satisfies a specified set of attributes or requirement or is fit for use. That is the standard definition of quality. Now, there's a cost involved in quality, as I said. Quality is never free. Another misconception people have is that quality is a cost center. No, it is not actually a cost center. It is a profit center. So there is a cost to quality, but in the long run, it earns profit for your company. Okay. So what is the cost of quality? Cost of quality comprises of two important elements. One is cost of conformance, and another one is cost of non-conformance. Now, what is cost of conformance? Money spent during the project to prevent failure. That is cost of conformance on the left-hand side. You have prevention cost and you have appraisal cost. Then you have cost of non-conformance. Money spent during and after the project because of failure. That is what we call it as the cost of non-conformance. So obviously, if I incur a cost, it is going to be divided into these two buckets, and within those two buckets, it is going to be divided into 4 sub buckets. Okay, let me take a dish which is my favorite, ice cream. Okay, so I love ice cream. Okay, I mean, you name it. I mean, in India we have a lot of brands, like Amul, of course, is one of my favorite brands. Then we have natural ice cream also in India. We have quality walls. I mean, there are so many brands available in India of ice cream. Let us take an ice cream manufacturing plant. And let us try to understand what are these four costs and how they are going to be apportioned. So let us say this is an ice cream manufacturing unit which uses milk as an input, and it uses and it manufactures ice creams of various flavors like vanilla, or let's say butterscotch, or let's say blackcurrant, orange, American nut, etc. So these are the different flavors where ice cream is manufactured. And let us say a new employee joins this ice cream manufacturing unit. So before this employee is put onto the shop floor where ice cream is getting manufactured, he will be undergoing training. He will be taught, he will be shown some tools like which tool to use when, right? He will be told when exactly you have to start the ice cream manufacturing process, when a sugar to be added to the cream, to the milk, right? When there's the milk to be converted into a cream, right? There might be some training and certification cost. That cost will be the prevention cost. That will be the prevention cost what you will be incurring, right, for this particular person. Let us say that ice cream is manufactured, and before even it goes ahead, we want to test it. Okay, we want to inspect it. That comes in appraisal cost. And one of the important costs in appraisal cost is also destructive testing loss. Now, this is something which is done on a sample. You cannot do it on every product. For example, ice cream. I want to see how much time it will take before it melts in a room temperature. That is a destructive testing loss, because once it is melted, the ice cream is wasted, right? So you cannot do it on all the ice cream which you're producing in your factory. You will have to do it on a sample size. You'll have to pick up a sample and do it, right? And then test result analysis, right? You want to see after the ice cream is produced, does the carton have any impact on the taste of the ice cream, right? You're going to put the ice cream in a plastic carton or in a wooden carton, right? Does that interact? Is there any chemical reaction when this product interacts with this carton? And is there any sourness in the taste, or is the ice cream getting spoiled quickly? So again, that you will do on a sample ice creams from the container. That is your test result analysis what we have. So that is cost of conformance. Again, I'm repeating, money spent during and after, sorry, money spent during the project to avoid failure, not after. Money spent during the project to avoid failure is what we call as the cost of conformance, what is there. Okay, so that is what we have it. Okay, now let us move to the right hand side. Right hand side is cost of non-conformance, rework, scrap. Now, this is an ice cream. So what can be an internal failure cost? And there's an external failure cost also, which is obviously, as I told you, is one of the most costliest one what is there. Internal failure cost is something like this. I load these ice creams onto my refrigerated trucks, and they are supposed to transport it to the dealers across the country. What happens is, out of 100 trucks on which I transfer these ice cream containers, 5 trucks get they have a problem with their refrigeration unit, and by the time these ice creams reach the dealer, they are melted or they are wasted. So that is rework or scrap. That is your internal failure cost. After the product is ready, it was supposed to be sent to the customer, but between that time period, between the point in time when it was ready until the time it reached the customer, there is a wastage in the product, or there is a quality issue in the product, and that comes in as a part of your internal failure cost what is there, right? It is rework or scrap. Last but not the least, we have the external failure cost. External failure cost is the warranty cost. So one of the ice cream carton was spilled over, so I had to replace it, right? So there's a replacement cost, a warranty cost, then lost business opportunities. As I said, if your brand is impacted, it will result in a lost business opportunity. People are not going to come to have ice cream, and it is going to result in a reputational loss what is going to happen. So that comes in as a part of your lost business opportunity what is there. Okay, so this is your reputational loss what you will be getting, right? So these are your 4 types of costs which are there, right? And obviously, as a coach, as a consultant, you will have to make sure that there is a lesser of your internal failure and your external failure cost. Your costs on the left hand side are the ones which are important. I mean, if you can prevent them, it's a preventive activity. Those are preventive. The costs on the right hand side are reactive costs which are there. Okay, so we have prevention cost and we have a inspection cost or a reaction cost or a reactive cost, which is on the right hand side, what is there. So that's the cost of quality equation, COC plus CONC. Another example of, so can anyone tell me internal failure cost in an automobile industry? I think there was an example of someone gave an example of destructive testing, but that is appraisal cost. But what can be internal failure cost in an automobile industry? Let's say car manufacturing unit. What can be an example of that? Any thoughts? Internal failure cost as far as car manufacturing is concerned? Let me read. Engine failure. Not exactly engine failure. Engine failure when? That is important, right? Engine failure during warranty is going to be, that is going to be external failure cost. Defective manufactured, but that you will come to know here only, no? If it is defective manufactured. Car recall is here. I'm talking about internal failure cost. You're talking here. I'm talking about car recall is here. External failure cost. It has reached the customer. This is car product recall. That is what we have it as a product recall there. This is internal failure cost. So internal failure cost example can be something like this. That what has happened is that you created cars, you developed cars, but out of 100 cars, let us say you store them in a warehouse. You store them in a warehouse and warehouse catches fire. And out of 100 cars, 20 cars get damaged. That is your internal failure cost. Your internal processes were not strong enough, and which resulted in your internal failure cost in your product. All right. So that is what we call it as an internal failure cost, which is there. Okay, so now coming back to our world, right, to the world where we were, right? I have taken, all examples other than IT, and there was a reason for doing it. I wanted to make sure that we understand this the quality from a wider canvas, rather than restricting ourselves to software or the IT world. I wanted to set the context and make sure that we understand from a bigger canvas that this is not something which were shift left, shift right, sorry, continuous integration, continuous deployment, TDD. These are not practices which are there only in the IT industry or the IT world. Non-IT organizations are also using these practices. Okay, it's just that they're not called TDD or BDD, but they do have these practices which are being used. But now, one of the last slides before I open up the floor for questions. What can be those 5 practices or key pointers for built-in quality? And this obviously is coming from Scaled Agile framework, right? These practices are somewhat picked up. These have been picking up from the Scaled Agile framework, which talks about these 5 practices, but I've obviously tried to contextualize it, right? So obviously, we need to have a built-in quality for code quality checks, wherein we have TDD, shift left strategy reviews, code reviews, TDD, BDD, ATDD. TDD is test-driven development, BDD behavior-driven development, ATDD is acceptance test-driven development, right? And again, as I'm saying, shift left doesn't mean that just bring testing on the left-hand side. It is more than that. It's about imbibing a culture into this organization. Then obviously I test the overall system quality by doing integration testing, UAT, performance testing, penetration testing, security testing. So those are essentially related to the quality elements from a system perspective. Design checks I do through definition of done, definition of ready, just enough design. I don't do a big far-fetched design, rather I do a small design and I do the activities around it. So that is design quality. And architectural quality is checking your architectural runway, right? How stable is your architectural runway? Is the architectural runway being accepted by our teams, right? Is it accepted by our designers, right? Can the features be built on this architectural runway or not? So that comes in as a part of your architectural runway, which is there. And last but not the least, on top, we have the release quality checks. Before even I release the product into the market, I might want to deploy it into the production environment, but I don't want to release it. I may not want to release it because I might want to do a dark launch and I want to make the feature off. And many times organizations do that. They will make a product rest into the production environment without exposing it to the outside world that this is there. Okay, they have something called as a feature toggle. They switch it off. or they have something called as dark launches, or they also do canary releases, as they call it, right? They will release the feature in only few pockets of the country. They will get a feedback, and then they will, based on that feedback, they will take a call whether to do a release for the wider audience or to hold on the release and improve the quality checks of quality in this product, right? So that is what is your releases which are there, right? Release quality checks which are there. Okay, so that's what we do as a part of your go-to-market strategy, proof of concept, pilot, release to production. As I said, dark launches, feature toggles, canary releases. So those are, I would say, again, there's nothing that it has to be done in a hierarchical order. This pyramid might appear to you that this is something which has to be done in a hierarchical order, but that's not the case. This is what I call it as the continuous quality, continuous journey towards quality is what we have. And as I said, this is something which has to be ingrained right from the day one. Quality is not something which you do at the end of the project. Quality is something what you do throughout the life cycle of the project, right from the day you get a project charter wherein you are supposed to work on this project till the point in time we do a final closure of this project. Okay, so on that note, I end this session here, but I'm open for any questions which any of you have. But before that, I just wanted to let you know, those of you who are not aware, there's the YouTube channel which I have. I have almost 134 videos now there. Now this might be the 134th. I've lost the count of it. But if you're interested to grow as a leader, if you're interested to grow in your field as a coach, I would strongly recommend all of you to subscribe to the channel. This is a link which I'm sharing with you. Kindly subscribe to the channel, watch videos there. You don't have to agree with those videos. You can always challenge what is being talked there. But I would be happy to hear your feedback on those videos. I would expect you to write the feedback on those videos so that I know what are the areas to be improved upon. So on that note, I will open up the floor for questions. And yeah, I would request, but before I open up the floor for questions, kindly restrict questions to the topic which was covered today, because obviously that will help us to set the right context. And those of you who are on LinkedIn Live, I will be answering your questions. I know you won't be able to talk with me, but I'll be answering those questions as we move along. Yeah, so I've opened up the floor for questions. Anyone has any question, you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question.
Hi Ashutosh, Bridges this side.
Yeah, Bridges, yes.
Yeah, thanks a lot for delivering such kind of great, valuable session over the internet and by making all of us tomorrow's leader in a better way. So thanks a lot for investing such a lot of time without getting any money or kind of any thanks. So very, very thankful for that. I am a very regular viewer of yours since I have joined your YouTube channel and saw your videos. So it is a really helpful. So can you come to the latest screenshot or the PPT which we were having? I have a question on this. The last, yes. So here when we talk about point number 4, architect quality, I think this is what we should take it at very early stage. Why we are keeping it at 4th point? This is the question.
No, that's what I said. There's no particular order for that. I mean, I have just tried to stack up those elements. As I said, you can do it in any particular order. There's no particular order for that. Yeah, but I agree with you. Yes, that architecture is not something at the end. Architecture is at the beginning. In fact, it has to be at the beginning. So definitely I agree with you on that. Yes.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for answering my question, and I hope others will get benefited out of it. Thanks a lot for this.
Yeah. So I don't agree with one of your statement that this is a free session. This is not a free session. You have invested the most valuable item you have, all of you have.
Right.
Okay. So I don't agree with the fact that it's a free session. Okay. Nothing can buy time. Believe me, it is more costlier than money. Okay. So you have invested half of 35-40 minutes with me on a Friday evening. So really appreciate all of you doing that. Yeah. Anyone else has any question on that?
Hi, Ashutosh. Amit this side.
Sorry, what's your name?
Amit this side.
Amit, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So I have one question, Ashutosh, and thanks. Such a wonderful PPT you have. In this PPT, PPT, I have one question. How we can make the checklist, like for the release quality, we have architect, design, system, and code, right?
Mhm.
TDD, BDD, like these are very big topics, right? So how we can make
Mhm.
a checklist of all these so that we can also follow, we are going in the right direction or we are not following the direction as per the industry, like this. How we can get those
Okay,
checks?
so as such, see, as such, there are a lot of standard checks available, lot of standard operating procedures which you set in, right? But again, if you're starting new, start with something start with small baby steps is what I always say, and then start building it around it, right? So maybe you want to start with maybe architectural checklist, then go for code quality checklist, system quality checklist. So start with baby steps and then move upwards is what I would say. Nevertheless, there are industry checklists which are available, but as I said, those will have to be contextualized. Okay, those cannot be directly applied okay, lift and shift cannot be done. So those will have to be contextualized, and obviously in the initial stages you will struggle, but over a period of time you will come to know what has to be a part of that checklist, what cannot be a part of that checklist. But yeah, take baby steps is what I would say here.
Okay. Any, for our starting purpose, for example, can I get some kind of initial checklist, like so that we can start
Mhm.
from where we
See,
can
again, there
start?
is no standard checklist. That's what I'm saying. There's no standard checklist as such. You will have to devise your own. Maybe your organization or the company where you're working, they might be having an initial checklist, and then you'll have to work towards it, I would say.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ashutosh.
Yeah, sure, sure. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay. All right. So if there are no further questions, yeah, I do see a lot of questions on LinkedIn, but as I said, I will address those questions individually with you. I mean, individually in the sense I'll answer on that forum only, and then you'll get an answer. But if you need any more clarification, feel free to connect with me. I'll be more than happy to talk about it. So if there are no further questions, I think
Can I
we
ask
can
one
close
more
the session.
question, please?
Yeah, hello. Sorry.
Can I ask one more question, please?
Yes, yes, yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
As a agile coach, how we need to take care of all these things, because the release checklist, that these release quality belongs to releases, right? So how as a agile coach we need to take care of all these, and how we can
See, again, it's not that, okay. So again, as I said, that quality is responsibility of everyone in the organization. Okay.
yes,
It's not
yes,
that I'm an agile coach, so I'm not responsible for quality. Definitely you have to coach, I mean, whosoever is responsible for this, you'll have to coach this person. That is where your role will come. And I think something similar question also is on the chat. How much of depth of quality is needed? I would say, yes, you need to have a understanding of quality, right? I mean, basic understanding of quality. And more importantly, how are you going to coach your team from a quality management perspective? How that built-in quality has to be made in a release after release. So you may not be drafting that release checklist. It might be done by someone else, but that person would need a coaching, right? And the person would have to, I mean, you have to ensure as a Scrum Master and an Agile coach that you give the right element of coaching to that particular person. That is how I would say is the level of knowledge which would be needed.
okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn also if you are not connected. This is my LinkedIn QR code. This is my YouTube QR code. So just connect with me on this, and we'll be happy to further connect. So thanks everyone. And, thanks for spending once again your Friday evening with me. I give back the remaining time back to you. And yeah, looking forward to interact with you in the upcoming sessions. We will have some new speakers coming up in few weeks from now. So yeah, do encourage them also as we give opportunity to further new speakers. So thanks a lot, and bye for now. Thank you.